Annually, beginning in 2015, the Florida Scenic Highway Program selects one person, organization, or group of people to be recognized for leadership, innovation, stewardship, and inspiring achievements. An individual or organization that has made a significant and lasting impact on one or more scenic highways, scenic highway communities, or the statewide program. This award is the Garry Balogh Inspiring Excellence Award, the highest honor bestowed by the Florida Scenic Highway Program. This year, the Florida Scenic Highway Program selects our friend Glenn Burns for the Garry Balogh Inspiring Excellence Award. This award is especially meaningful and personal for me. Garry was helpful in establishing this award. He helped present the award with me the first time it was presented in 2015. He and I spoke quietly about the award as an appropriate way to remember him. We agreed it was a way that Garry's lasting and genuine commitment to the Florida Scenic Highway Program could continue to inspire others who enjoy working together on the Florida Scenic Highway Program. Garry gave his approval for this award. Lynn, I'd like you to come up. And Greg, where's Greg? And Claudia. Claudia has the honor of filling Garry's big shoes at the Florida Department of Transportation.
Because Garry obviously was worked with Glenn for many, many years, and I just came into the program a year and a half ago, so there's a lot of history, so I reached out. So some things I learned was Glenn is a history buff, big history buff, which is very interesting. Jim Thorson reached out and said that he remembers your special hat. I don't know that special hat. What is the special hat? But he remembered the special hat. He said I had to mention it. And he remembers your strong organizational skills. And you were also regarded as an excellent writer. Your byway story for the Florida Black Bear CMP, which is a corridor management plan that each byway has to produce. His byway story that he produced for the CMP was written so extraordinarily and well written and concise and interesting that it helped put them on the map and get designated for the National Scenic Byway designation, which is a high, high honor. He also helped prepare, you're going to read your letter, so I won't go into those because I'll steal his thunder.
I did want to share, though, with Glenn that you had a huge part of his heart. He loved your passion for the scenic highways, all the programs, and especially Green Mountain. And I could see you're very emotional about him and happy about that you did. You held a very, very big part of his heart, and he appreciated you very, very much. And I'm glad that I had the chance to learn about you through him, because you're right, he was very, very quiet. He did not, he always sat in the background and stood out only when needed. But thank you all very much for inviting me. It's very, very sweet. I appreciate it. And Glenn, congratulations.
Okay, so we have this nice award, Florida Department of Transportation, State of Florida, and on the back, it's 2017 Garry Balogh Inspiring Excellence Award presented to Glenn Burns, Green Mountain Scenic Byway.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
One of the things that I want to do is read the nomination, at least part of it, that I was happy to give for Glenn. Glenn just means so much to me. It means so much to the byway. This was the easiest thing that I wrote, and I've written thousands of large multi-volume proposals, and I've spent hours and hours and hours just sitting with nothing to say. But what I put in this absolutely comes from the heart, because Glenn means such a big part of the Scenic Byway and the whole program. Glenn was one of the founders of the Green Mountain Scenic Byway about 17 years ago, before I came involved. He helped form the Black Bear Scenic Byway as a consultant 10 years ago. Although he was quick to clarify that his position within Green Mountain was as a contractor, Factually and more accurately, he acted as the valued board member and has been a trusted friend and leader of Green Mountain since inception. Of course, his own values caused him to hew to conflict of interest concerns regarding the official position, and we all knew otherwise. Except for elite athletes and a few business leaders, there's few to employees that live their work and have the passion for their work that Glenn has. With regard to Green Mountain, he essentially was the community liaison, the organizer, the driver of activities, the grant writer, the person capturing all the things falling through the cracks, the person organizing, packing, attending all festivals by himself. Somehow he kept up with all of the stakeholder municipalities, knowing when byway-related issues were on the agenda. He attended all of those meetings too. He was the unifying force as board members came and went. In essence, Glenn was the Green Mountain champion. The term champion associated with sports is applied differently here. There was no trophy, no podium, no accolades from the fans. And I think now finally Glenn has that recognition that he's mostly hidden from for so long. His absence from byway activities over these last several months leaves so large a void that the term consultant or contractor is a slight to him. Glenn always referred to Garry as his friend. I think the feeling was mutual. Both of them were leaders from behind. There's no rah-rah speeches, no war cries, no rallying of the troops. When the rest of us got to where we were going, Glenn and Garry was there, and we understood the effect of their efforts. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be where we are today. Part of the application or the nomination form wanted a little bit of a history, and I won't read the whole history here, but I've talked with a couple of people here over some of the different things that Glenn was involved in, and my impression of how all of this went is Glenn just really knew how to push people, and he knew how to find the right kind of people. And the scenario that I offered was the Ferndale Preserve. And Mike, I might not get this completely correct, but in all the different things that we work on and all the different successes we have, I mentioned to somebody else, we go centimeter by centimeter by centimeter by centimeter over many, many years, and all of a sudden we jump a mile. When you think about the Ferndale Preserve, we got the land right at the peak of the housing boom. It was really, really expensive land. It was prime building land. Glenn somehow found the developer that said, this land is too pretty to build on. We need to save it. I was just fresh, brand new in the Land Acquisition Advisory Committee in Lake County, didn't know what Robert's rules was. Glenn said, you need to do something with Lake County because they won't let Mike Woods, who's here, work on the grant proposal. So I got it through, and I got yelled at by the committee for not following Robert's rules, but we got the committee to approve to the county commissioners that Mike would be able to write the application. And son of a gun, if Mike and I think Glenn helped out with the application, they got the $3 million or $4 million or $5 million. And then the other key parts of that is Glenn is so tied in with other folks that one of the names that is not here tonight, Bob Resitar, somehow Glenn knew that he was a tremendous lobbyer, and he went to the Lake County Water Authority and came up with some phenomenal amount of money. And he wouldn't leave until they gave him that money at that one meeting. And you just don't know how hard that is to do. Glenn is probably, as far as a champion, he's also a coach because he knows how to get the best from all of us. And I just can't be more thrilled that Glenn gets this award, mostly for the award, but I can't say any less than because it has Garry's name to it. And when it's all said and done, Glenn is not at the front. Glenn is sitting in the back, and it's the rest of us that look like we're moving the thing forward. And if it wasn't for Glenn, we all wouldn't be here as we are today.
Here to celebrate Glenn's achievements. I met Glenn, I think, in early 2000, 2002, and we were working on the Ferndale Preserve project. We're 200 acres on Lake Apopka. It was already platted. There were already houses almost started there, and we were able, with Glenn's help, to convince the property owner that, hey, why don't you let us buy this and make it a county park? And we had 2 weeks to draft a Florida Communities Trust grant application and submit it to Tallahassee, and Glenn was a big part of that. So, yeah, Glenn was our consultant storyteller on the Black Bear Scenic Byway. You know, all the state programs have huge, cumbersome application packages and requirements, and Glenn was able to plow through them all and make sense of them and tell a story, and I think it was a story that really helped us get the National Scenic Byway designation, so I really thank him for that.
I'm here because I want to celebrate my dad with all his closest friends and just show him that we appreciate everything he's done for the environment and his community. He taught me to love nature and appreciate the environment and appreciate the history of our community too. He's a great dad.
I've known Glenn for a long time, and all the work he's done with Green Mountain. I don't know how many events I've been in the next door booth to those guys, to Glenn and Greg, and I think they're amazing. So I appreciate everything they've done. They've done amazing work, and Glenn is the most capable, modest person you'd ever meet, and I appreciate that in him a lot.
I know Glenn probably about 10 to 15 years. They do a lot of stuff with the trails, and I use the trails, and I work on the property actually that they've done a lot of their work on. I work on the North Shore Lake Apopka for the Water Management District, and so we know him through, you know, doing all the good stuff for Green Mountain, getting that observation tower up in 455, and you know, it's all about the trails for him, and for me, I appreciate everything he does, and Greg also. They're good people, you know.
My name is David, and I've known Glenn for probably 10 years. And Glenn was there when I first started doing Scenic Highway. And we had had some contact with other people in the Scenic Highway world, and there was some overlap with a trail project that we were working on. And so we decided there was this contract that was going to be let out of the department, District 5, as a district-wide. And so we started putting together a team, and we talked to everybody that we could find on a piece of paper all the way around the state. And the one person we never saw on a piece of paper, but every time we talked to somebody, they said, this is the guy you have to have on your team. You can leave us off if you want, but the guy you need is Glenn Burns. And so my first chance to work with Glenn was on the lake, on the North Shore Scenic Overlook. And he was doing lots of work on other things because he was the guy that did all the applications, and we fed him all the stuff that was difficult and complex and that nobody else knew how to do. But this one particular project, we got to do a lot of these public meetings that actually kind of got light in attendance, and so we got to sit around and talk about all his crazy old stories about things like corn smud and airplanes and Alaska, the mosquitoes in Alaska one summer that he was up there, and it was so much fun. So we've enjoyed crossing paths over the years, but it's been a real pleasure to work with him, and he's always cheerful and always just an absolute blast.
Okay, my name is Mona Phipps, and I'm a long-time friend of Glenn's, as well as serving on the board for the Green Mountain Scenic Byway and on the Friends of Lake Apopka board with him as well. So we've been through a lot together the last few years. It's hard to pick just something out, you know, but consistently it was fun. He is full of stories. You guys already said how he loves history, and he remembers things, and he would always have something to add about things and keep you entertained. But he is very quiet. And I learned by watching him, I learned some things. And that was, don't always let people know up front what you know. Hold your cards close. And he is so good because people don't know what to expect from him, but he's way ahead of them. But they never guess that. I found that to be so characteristically true with him, that we would go to commission meetings or go do things, and he'd just kind of ask something and stumble around and everything, but he knew the answers to the questions he asked before he asked them, and he was way ahead of them. And so I always thought that that was such a great way to do things. Instead of just putting your feelings out front, listen. Listen to what people are telling you. And then he has a way, like Greg said about bringing them back around to him, and they never even saw it coming.
So, was this a surprise tonight?
Yes, very much so.
How'd you feel about it?
Huh?
How do you feel about it?
Well, it makes you feel real happy.